Year 2. So this week we have been looking at poetry, and today it's a chance for you to explore a range of different poems. So we are going to annotate the poems looking at the features that we can find. So we'll be looking at how many verses a poem might have. We'll be looking to see if a poem has any repetitive language. We will be identifying some rhyming words. After we have done that, we will then be reading the poem again to see if we can spot any lines where we can use some intonation, so we can change the pitch of our voice, and if we can add in any actions. Okay, so this is the poem that I'm going to look at today. So I can see the title is The Wind, and I can see the author by Christina Rossetti. So first of all I'm going to do is read the poem, and this is what we would like you to do when you first look at a poem today. So I'm going to read it. You can follow me. Who has seen the wind? Neither I nor you. But when the leaves hang trembling, the wind is passing through. Who has seen the wind? Neither you nor I. But when the trees bow down their heads, the wind is passing by. Okay, so we can see that this poem is about the wind. Okay, so the first thing I want to look at is how is the poem laid out. So poetry is laid out in verses. Now I can see that there is a verse here. This is my first verse. Because verses have a gap, a little line, and it will start on a new line. So my first verse is here, and then my second verse is there. So how many verses does this poem have? 1 and 2. Well done. Verse 1 and verse 2. You may find a poem just has 1 verse, or you might find a poem has 5 verses. I can see that both verses here have 4 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right then, let's have a little look next. Repetitive language. Okay, so repetitive language, any words, phrases, lines that repeat in the poem. So I can see straight away who has seen the wind. Who has seen the wind? And I'm just going to underline that because I know that I'm just going to put a little pink dot there so I know my repetitive language is in pink. You might want to do a little key at the bottom, and you could just write next to it, pink repetitive language. And you could do the same with your verses. Okay. Next, I'm going to see if this poem has any rhyming words. Some poems may have lots of rhyming words, some poems may have none. You have to read it again. Now, rhyming words in a poem you will find mostly at the end of a line. So let's have a look. Who has seen the wind? Neither I nor you. We know you and wind don't rhyme. But when the leaves hang trembling, the wind is passing through. Now, sometimes in a poem, it will miss a line out, and in the next line you will have your matching rhyming word. Wind, trembling. You, through. Oh, you and through. There we go. And I can just put on my key. Rhyming words. Let me check my next verse. Who has seen the wind? Neither you nor I. But when the trees bow down their heads, the wind is passing by. Can you spot the rhyming words in that verse for me? Well done. I and by. Okay, because you have learnt this week that rhyming words are words that sound the same, have the same ending. Fantastic. Now then, intonation. Now I've annotated our poem, we want to practice reading some poetry. So intonation is where we are going to change the tone, the pitch of our voice. Okay, are there any lines that we might need to whisper? Any lines that we need to shout? Any lines that we need to actually change the whole tone of our voice? Angry voice. So I'm going to read this, how I would do this in class. So I would maybe do, who has seen the wind? Neither I nor you. But when the leaves hang trembling, the wind is passing through. Who has seen the wind? Neither you nor I. But when the trees bow down their heads, the wind is passing by. You have a go. Read a poem. Can you change the pitch, the tone, the sound of your voice when you read different lines? And then we have actions. Is there any lines, any words that you could add an action to? Okay, the wind is passing through. When the trees bow down their heads, could you bow down your head? The wind is passing by. So when we say actions, find words, lines that you can add an action to. We do this a lot in class, year 2, so you should be superstars at this. Okay, so what I would like you to do now is you have a mixture of poems. You don't need to do them all. You might want to. Choose 1 or 2 poems that you like the look of. Have a little read. See if you can annotate your poem, creating a little key, and then see if you can read your poem aloud, adding some intonation and some actions. Okay. Well done, year 2.